So let's call to order the Village Board meeting, May 23rd, 2022, to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So will Clerk Colhagen call roll?
Bhatia?
Aye.
Doxy?
Aye.
Anastasio?
Aye.
Clausen?
Aye.
Hewitt?
Aye.
DeGroot?
Here.
I'm assuming
Trustee
Trustee
Washburn.
Washburn, okay.
Trustee Washburn is excused. So the first thing that we have tonight is a short public hearing, and it's regarding zoning map amendments. And I'm going to read the rules for the public hearing at this time. If you wish to speak, please fill out a public hearing form, which you'll find on a table near the entrance. Once recognized, speakers should come to the podium and identify themselves with their name and address. Please speak clearly into the microphone when applicable. I'll first call people in favor of the application, and then I'll call for those opposed. Speakers must direct all discussions towards the board. I will not allow interchange between members of the audience and the petitioner. We request that you do not interfere with nor interject comments while another person has the floor. Please keep all comments on the particular item before the board and no longer than 5 minutes. Finally, please mute your electronic devices. And so I will now open the public hearing. And the first and only item of business in front of us in the public hearing is zoning map amendments, ordinance 18-2022, which is a zoning map amendment for land adjacent to County Line Road, County Trunk Highway KR, and Green Bay Road, State Highway 31. Zoning map amendment application ZMA 0422. Mr. Palm.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a zoning map amendment or a rezone application for approximately 64.68 acres over 2 parcels. And you mentioned the address located there. The rezone is from AG2, which is general agriculture, to 55.84 acres of RM2, which is moderate density residential, 1.98 acres for MX2, which is neighborhood mixed use, and 6.48 acres B3, general business. The properties all lie within the newly created TID 6. The applicant wishes to plat a mixed-use neighborhood with 198 single-family lots, 1 condominium lot with 20 duplex units, 1 multifamily lot, 2 mixed-use lots, and a general business lot. The site lies next to State Trunk Highway 31 and other agricultural land. The site has roadway access off County Line Road, which is CTHKR, Green Bay Road, State Trunk Highway 31, and a proposed extension, well, I guess this would be creation at this point, of Oaks Road. The tax increment district number 6 project plan expected this site to contain a little bit more commercial acreage than it does. However, the developer wanted more residential acreage, and as a compromise, some mixed-use lots were added to the plat. The comprehensive plan recommends mixed-use residential commercial for this site. This proposed plan complies with that. On a fiscal note, these parcels are within the newly created TID 6. The subdivider indicated a potential request for assistance from the TID, which requires Community Development Authority and Village Board review of their pro forma and approving a development agreement. The village staff assumed assessments of $300,000 per unit. This does not include the commercial portions, the mixed-use buildings, or the B3 parcel. The proposed development has a project value per acre of $1.3 million, which is greater than the village target of $1 million per acre. I will kind of amend that a little bit, is that that $300,000 per unit might be on the low conservative side, given the report and estimates from the developer presented at Planning Commission. If in the course of negotiating the development agreement for this project, the developer approves the fiscal gap, the village's staff first priority to address the gap is by adding additional density before an additional ask. Just some additional considerations. Wisconsin TID law limits the amount of newly platted residential land to 35% of the land of the total district. The village staff recommends prioritizing higher density residential development inside of TIDs to utilize this land allowance more effectively. This application's potential 5 units per acre is slightly lower considering this recommendation, considering the recently approved Leo private cottages proposed a density of 7.63 units per acre. However, the village staff also acknowledge that a fee simple, walkable, moderate density subdivision has not been built in Mount Pleasant for many decades. Thus, the village staff believe that there is implicit value in the relatively new market concept. As you can kind of see by the layout, you have different levels of units. You have some single families, you have duplexes, you have some multifamilies with some mixed use commercial development and more traditional commercial development on the busy corner. So we've never really had a platted subdivision as integrated in uses as this one before. So some additional considerations is that 21 lots in the RM2 zone right now have area lot sizes greater than the maximum lot size requirement. So the subdivider can access that issue in 3 different ways. They could build a duplex on those lots. They could reconfigure the plat a little bit, or they could apply for an administrative adjustment. That will be worked out before the final plat is submitted. This plat application is in coordination with the preliminary subdivision plat 0122, which was also presented at the board and will be, or at the plan commission, and will be up for village board vote later on this evening. The village staff did not recommend formally amending the zoning map until the application submits and receives approval of a final plat application. So those two are tied together. They can't really pass without the other. So the conditions for approval are listed there, and the village staff recommend approval, and the plan commission recommended approval unanimously. And just as a general, because I made this chart, just to kind of say about housing, and everybody thinks about housing needs and stuff in the village, I made this chart. These are all the housing starts in Mount Pleasant since 1978. And the yellow is single family. And the various other colors are various forms of multifamily. You notice it gets real low. So we have still not made up for that lack of housing from 2008 to 2018. So we're really excited about this development and because of this. And thank you. If you have any other questions, please let me know.
Well, I see that Mr. S.R. Mills is in the chambers, and if we could hear from you, just to add your thoughts to what you're doing here, so the public is aware.
S.R. Mills, 4011 80th Street, Kenosha, Wisconsin, with Bear Real Estate Group. Very appreciative for the time and energy. Robin and Sam, we've spent a lot of hours trying to work through the designs and find something that we think fits. Our major objective, as we explained at the Plan Commission, and I think that chart really shows it. It's very difficult to do traditional single-family lots today, and to do that with any kind of we're not playing on some of the bad things that happened in 08 and buying pieces of broken subdivisions, rather doing new subdivisions and looking at it a little more creatively and a little differently based on the economics of Racine County, Kenosha County, which is where we do the bulk of our master plan communities like this. But we think the goal is trying to keep the homes affordable. And as we know from lumber prices and everything else that's happened, it's a tall order. And part of the way that we can do that is having narrower lots, smaller lots, where I think our average lot here, well, no lot will exceed 7,200 square feet. Typically, we're building 15,000 square foot lots. So by shrinking that down, it helps with the economics. The one thing is it's a little different. We haven't had a lot of product like this with rear load single family, front load single family in this part of Wisconsin. We've seen it successful in Madison. There's a lot of other examples of how it can be successful, and we think it will be, specifically because of the pedestrian friendliness, making sure that we really create a neighborhood. We have different product type from townhomes to some retail, residential above retail, open areas. We've got the great creek to the west, so having plenty of access to that. So we think it's a great site. We think it's a really good opportunity. Again, very thankful for staff and the time that we've spent so far putting this together. And happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Well, I think that we're bringing this up on the same agenda for approval. And so if it's okay with the board, when we bring this up for business, we can go into questions. We can recognize Mr. Mills then as well. I just
Great.
wanted, for posterity's sake, to have you speak at the public hearing part.
Appreciate that.
So this is the point where I open the public hearing to the public. I don't have anybody signed up on this particular item. Is there anybody wishing to speak on this item, for or against? So,
We
excuse,
can't hear you from there.
excuse me, if you're wanting to speak on this item, we need to bring you up and recognize you. And we'll need your name and address for the record.
So I'm Michelle Bernhardt. I live at 7828 County Line Road. This hasn't really been publicly shown to the residents on KR. Has any consideration? I mean, what kind of clientele is going to be moving into there? Are we supposed to be worried about things? We're out there, we don't have neighbors per se. We're very comfortable. We didn't sign up for that when we bought the house. We have a walking path, you took the front yard, we have 4 lanes of traffic, now more traffic, and what's gonna be at the end of the street? Just a thought.
Is there anything that you wanted to address, Robin?
Yeah, I would say that the majority of I would say about 95% of the units that are platted here are 1 or 2 family homes, detached from each other, so it'll look like a traditional neighborhood. The initial, the SR claimed it very well as far as housing costs and stuff like that are going up. I would say, and I mentioned that the 300,000 mark was low. It would probably be somewhere between 300,000 and 425,000 to get one of the units here. And it's going to be a really nice neighborhood. We're really proud to have it. As far as access and, just sort of like the preserving some of the nature, I kind of put my personal touch on this and really advocated hard for you see the road on the west side of the property. Normally a developer would always put houses on both sides of the road. It's just economically makes more sense. However, it's just kind of nicer for that road to kind of front and open so you can see into the environmental corridor. And then that's going to be an extension of the Pike River Pathway, or not necessarily the official Pike River Pathway, but it's going to connect into it. And it's going to be a public mixed-use walking trail along it. So you can walk along and enjoy the environmental corridor up and down this entire development. So it's going to be really nice. So that's all I have to add.
Thank you. I believe that the developer would be, happy to speak to you about your needs as well, when we're done with the public hearing part.
Oh, last thing is that we did all the noticings that were required. Unfortunately, Wisconsin law basically says that you notify any property owner within 300 feet. 300 feet of this is no one that doesn't own property in this development. And we also had put up signs and advertised in the paper. So those are all methods of notification that were given out about this project. And this particular hearing itself is one of those too.
Okay. So without hearing from anybody else, we have satisfied our statutory obligation to hold a public hearing, and so this item is now closed. So let's move on to consent agenda. There's item 2, excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry, regular public comment. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments on any matter. Please fill out a comment form and the president will recognize you. Use the microphone and state your name and address for the public record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. We have Mr. Gary Buckholz signed up for public comment. Please come to the podium and name and address, sir.
Hi, my name is Gary Buchholz. I live at 8209 Slater Avenue, directly east of Campus Park. I'm here to address again my concern that Campus Park is falling short on the needed parking for the northeast portion of the park. Slater Avenue dead ends into Campus Park, and the residents were given the word of the village that the road would not enter into the park to access parking or to go through the park. With the final proposal of the park, the Plan Commission was submitted a plan without the parking lot and without the lavatories, purportedly saving $500,000. What they didn't point out, or the Plan Commission didn't notice on the item that was submitted, was a future road, in the words on the map, future road plus or minus 24 parking spaces directly adjacent park access. Future road does not sound like possible road, does not sound like maybe. Future road sounds like future road. And I submitted last week, or 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, a map showing that road, and it's also on Mount Pleasant Facebook. This road would connect Slater Avenue to Corporate Drive, creating a thoroughfare for people to come down Slater, up this future road, over to Corporate, and into Campus Park, the police station, Village Campus, YMCA, Aurora Healthcare, all the other businesses. And that flies directly in the face of what we were given the word that this road would not be used for parking. And it's my opinion that the fact that they put in there plus or minus 24 parking spaces leads me to believe that they understand a shortage of parking for that area of the park. They also are assuming, I also assume that they are figuring on road parking for walk-in access to the park. Slater Avenue is a dead-end, unimproved road. Many kids, you put 2 cars on the side of a road, you barely got room for one car to go down there. It's just my belief that if Mount Pleasant, if we're going to create a park, we should create a park that has sufficient parking to handle all possible uses of the park and not rely on residential parking as one of their main accesses. Also, I would like to maybe, I don't know if I can do this or not, I would like to bring forth a proposal that I had submitted 4 years ago to the Plan Commission about abandoning the right-of-way that they're proposing now. I brought it to the planners. Sam Schultz agreed. I wrote a proposal. He accepted that proposal. He brought it to the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission listened to Sam's endorsement and voted 6-0 to forward it to the village board. Never got there. 2 years. I called Sam back and forth. Well, we had this. I had to submit a new proposal. And we did have attorney changes, et cetera. But after 2 years, I was told, yeah, we changed our mind. We're going to keep that for, possible something else. Well, it seems to me I found their possible something else. And the road is terrible idea. Much like this road, they were going to put a road in at the cost to the village. From Robin Baum told me approximately $1 million to put in a road from Slater Avenue to Corporate Drive. That's not much of a savings of $500,000 in my opinion. And it creates a horrible thoroughfare. It would just be, and not just because of me, but also the village is putting in a road, again, with no benefit to them. They say it's a benefit to me because I'd have future lots on the side of the road. I don't want a benefit like that. If it's going to be subdivided, if I were to subdivide it or have somebody do it, the road would go in one lot so that the lots would back up to the park. Not be blind along, that just doesn't. So anyway, I'm asking the village board to give me some guidance or some input or something that I can do to not forestall the park, but to abandon this idea of a future road and make sure that there is parking supplied for the northeast corner of the park. So that was all unprepared, but I hope it made sense.
Thank you for your
Thank you for your
thoughts.
time. Yeah, bye.
Anybody else wishing to speak publicly? Not hearing from anybody else, so we will move on to the next item. The consent agenda has item number 2 in it that should be removed because it's already shown under Plan Commission business. So if we could have the consent agenda motioned to approve without item 2.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adopt the items on the consent agenda minus the ordinance 18-2022.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that motion carries. So let's move on to our next item of business, which is discussion and possible action to approve construction bid contract for the Fire Station Number 8 Building Addition.
Mr. President, I make a motion to award the construction contract for a building addition to Fire Station Number 8 to Absolute Construction Enterprises Incorporated of Racine in the amount of $730,500.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. This is something that we just discussed at the Committee of the Whole, but if anybody has any other thoughts or needs to hear from Chief, we can entertain that. All good? Sufficiently hashed out at Committee of the Whole. Did you want to leave any final thoughts, Chief? All right. So the item is ordinance, construction bid contract for Station 8. Roll call, please.
Bhatia?
Aye.
Doxy?
Aye.
Anastasio?
Aye.
Clausen?
Aye.
Hewitt?
Aye.
DeGroot?
Aye, motion carries. So let's jump down to Planning Commission, and the item that's on this, item number 1, is the one that we'd removed from the consent agenda because it was shown in 2 places. So we'll pick this up now, and it involves ordinance 18-2022, which is zoning map amendment for land adjacent to the County Line Road, County Trunk KR, and Green Bay Road, State Highway 31, zoning map amendment application ZMA 0422.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve ordinance 18-2022, amending the Village of Mount Pleasant zoning map for land adjacent to County Line Road, KR and Green Bay Road, State Highway 31 as proposed in the application ZMA-04-22.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. This is something that, that we've heard at the Committee of the Whole, and we just in fact had the public hearing on this as well. We've heard from Mr. Mills on this at public hearing, but I said, let's hold our deliberation and questions until we bring this to this point in time. At the pleasure of the board, anybody have any thoughts or questions, or how did?
I had a question. In the executive summary at the beginning, it says that it's, to amend the zoning map to 64 acres over 2 parcels. On the diagram that we saw, are those 2 parcels both included in that one map?
Yes,
Okay.
that is true. So there's currently two parcels, one ending in 052100 owned by Eugene Fink, and the other one 044070 owned by Faithbridge Church.
Oh, I see.
So in the process of doing a subdivision plat, you don't have to CSM to merge them or anything else. It's going to be all new divisions of the property, so it just all kind of gets lumped together.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, it looks like an exciting project, actually. I think,
Well, step number 1 is getting the zoning squared away. Any other thoughts? Okay, so on this matter, we'll do a roll call vote.
Bhatia?
Aye.
Doxy?
Aye.
Anastasio?
Aye.
Clausen?
Aye.
Hewitt?
Aye.
DeGroot?
Aye, motion carries for ordinance 18 and ZMA 0422.
Item number 2. Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the Pike River Crossing preliminary subdivision plat application PSP-01-22, subject to the conditions for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second for Pike River plat application. Thoughts on that?
I'd like to add my comments, and again, as my colleague, trustee Anastasio just briefly mentioned, it's a very exciting project. We discussed at the planning commission, and it was a very detailed discussion among all the commissioners, and I'm very excited to see this project move forward, for the community, and look forward to the final plat when it comes to planning commission and the board. Again, good things are happening in our community, and thank you for coming to Mount Pleasant.
I have one other question. On this diagram, where is Oaks Road, the extension of Oaks Road? Would that be going into the circle?
Yeah, so the term extension would actually lead you to believe that it's coming off of a piece of Oaks Road that currently exists, which it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
So this would be coming off of, and because I've seen plans for this extension of Oaks Road all the way down to here for my entire tenure here, so I just imagine that it's there. This would be Oaks Road coming off of State Trunk Highway 31, going into a roundabout, and then coming a little bit up to the end of this development. Additional development would have it kind of sweep up and go along the Pike River corridor. I mean, obviously, like outside of it, and connecting with Braun. And eventually, there will be a connection between that intersection and the remainder of Oaks Road south of Menards. This has been on Sewer PAC's plans for Mount Pleasant for over 20 years, the completion of this. It is staff's belief that the completion of this part of this road and the accompanying one on Airline right over here is the single biggest sort of infrastructure to-do list in Mount Pleasant. We think it would very, very much relieve the traffic on Green Bay Road. because that's the only north-south arterial that goes from county line to county line. So this is the start, and everything's got to start somewhere. So this is where it starts here.
Okay. Thank you.
I think that, you know, both, you know, for the zoning and for this plat application, it recognizes a couple of realities. Number one, we're running out of land east of the interstate. I mean, that's a fact. And number two, land costs for a developer in order for his projects to pencil out. I mean, and I'm not even talking about materials costs and the cost to actually build, but land costs themselves, and the cost to infrastructure those parcels. You need to be able to get enough bang for the buck so that they can be put in a cost-effective way as well. And you know, one of the ways to do that, and that's something that we've been kicking around in Mount Pleasant for a long time, is to smallen down the lots. And we've gone through extensive zoning and ordinance rewrites to be able to affect this kind of a subdivision application. So we're seeing with this that the fruit of our labor of what we've been working on over the past number of years. And I commend Mr. Mills and his organization for you know, taking a whack at this cat, because you know, even though in cities, you know, the old subdivisions have smaller lots along the way. As areas built out, we went into larger lots and acre lots and multi-acre lots, and now we're to the point where we have to start thinking, you know, as people continue to move into our community to raise their families and to pursue work, and more workers on the way, we have to figure out where to put them. We've seen a lot of multi-family development going on to address the need of people that need to rent and are not in a position to own. Now we're seeing this situation where we can build more affordable homes, and when I say affordable, they're still very expensive, but it provides another vector for people to get into home ownership. So I'm really excited about the project, and looking forward to working with it as you go. So unless there are any other thoughts, we've got a motion for approval of this as well.
Could I ask one more thing of Robin?
Sure.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem to me to have a lot of green space, open green space in here, but I presume that, you know, you have it calculated in.
So we talked about this quite a bit at the Plan Commission. There's about, right in the center there's about a 2-acre sort of green, right in the center. That's where the duplexes are going to sort of like do a semicircle around a green space. Think like if you've ever been to England, they
I
have
can
those-
see it,
those
yeah, right next to
crescents.
the blue part.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's 2 acres there. There will be some additional green spaces towards the southern end of the property. But there was nothing sort of designated on the Parks and Open Space Plan for an identified park in this area. So we were thinking if there was going to be a sort of a larger green space, it would probably be on the middle parcel between this. And so the Seasons development is on the north end. So there's three-thirds of this area. The Seasons development is on the north end, this is the south end, and the Roner property is in the middle. The Roner property currently has no plans for development, but I could see, you know, some commercial and potentially, you know, some green space there as well. Lastly, what this doesn't show is that this lines right up to the Pike River corridor.
Right.
The whole left side of this map is natural area that, you know, that people can jog on, you know, look at, walk their bike. Also, that trail will connect down to KR it will have a protected pathway on that bridge across the Pike River, and that will lead straight into Bix Ramke Park, which by acreage is one of the biggest parks that Mount Pleasant has. So as we develop that, that will be an even better sort of opportunity for people that live here to access like large amounts of green space. So that's a great question, and I think it'll work out.
I was going to mention the same thing. The Pike River pathway to the west of the development is non-developable, and so
Right.
it's as far as any of our lifetimes is concerned. That's green space, and it's also walkable to Bikes Ramke.
Thank you.
Okay, so on this matter then, let's call a vote. Roll call, please.
Bhatia,
Aye.
Doxy,
Aye.
Anastasio,
Aye.
Clausen,
Aye.
Hewitt,
Aye.
DeGroot.
Aye, motion carries. Reports, I believe that Trustee Clausen had something.
I do. Recently, the Tourism Commission met, and I just wanted to highlight a couple of the things that were discussed and things that are coming up, because I think often we're not aware of things that are coming to the village. So the Tourism Commission granted money for 3 projects recently. One is for a Racine Zoo event. Another is for well-known Waterford Balloon Fest, which is coming back, and we've voted to approve giving them money. And then another popular Quilts on Barns is going to be advertised, and we are providing some dollars to them for that. In addition, we got a couple of activities that I think are really exciting. There's a huge jet ski race on Lake Michigan, June 18th and 19th. And I think we did talk about June 22nd, the bike road race. That's going to be circuited around Mount Pleasant. And we have the Bacon Fest at Roma Lodge, and that's in August. So and those are just a few of the activities. So we have some exciting things coming up for the village.
Everybody likes bacon, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a comment. I'm very pleased to hear that, but my comment is if it's already not there, this should be on the webpage.
It is,
Okay, I said
Yeah.
if it's not there.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
So anybody, if we just jumped on to item 7 then, announcements, recognition of village residents, employees, memorials, non-political community events. Anybody else have anything for the good of the cause?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to have this opportunity to thank everyone for your prayers and the wishes, for my personal situation, family that happened 2 weeks ago, and again, I'm grateful to everyone who expressed their warm wishes and the prayers. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, Ron, would you like to make the last motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
I hear a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Please stand adjourned.
you.
Thank you very much, everybody.